friends, and welcome to Screen Vomit, the only movie podcast for normal people. I'm the number one normal, Kayla. Here with me is my twin, Kali J.
Hey, quack quack babies.
And guess what? It's freaking Pride Month, baby. And because of that, we got some Pride business to attend to. And by that, I mean we have a guest. Is that the way to introduce a guest? We'll see. So... Our guest is the host of the Not Your Final Girl podcast. They're also a rocker, and if you stay tuned till the end, they'll be playing us a little tune, and that will be Ariel Dyer.
Hi!
Yippee-doo!
I'm here!
Hell yeah.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's about damn time. We famously had your podcast co-host Candace on. I don't know when that was. October?
Oh,
I think it was October. Yeah, I think it was like for spooky season. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
What movie was that?
Gone Girl.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I
fucking hated that movie.
I just listened to that. I just listened to that
yeah?
episode to like prepare. I was you were ripping into it. It was incredible.
I hated it.
Yeah, we both hated the film. Candace famously tortured us.
Yes. I love it. It's typical Candace.
She specifically picked that movie to be antagonistic. But, you know, that's fun too.
Like, I am glad I saw it, though.
Yeah.
If only to have the knowledge.
Yeah, now we
I
can, like,
hate
participate in conversations or whatever. Because that's, like, one of those movies that just, like, people talk about it, you know?
Yes.
Now we know what was going on there.
You figured it out.
Not a lot.
Solve
Yeah.
the crime of Gone Girl.
So we should talk about being queer, probably? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's out
Go off.
ourselves.
Yeah, should we come out?
Oh, shit.
Literally can't stop coming out most of the time. I've been having job interviews, and I just keep accidentally coming out during them, and I'm like, well, sorry.
Wait, that's amazing. I want to, like, give me a little taste. What does that look like?
Well, I famously run my local community's pride group. I actually founded it. So in doing these job interviews, I've had to, like, talk a lot about that because there's, like, a lot of... That's my more, like, business job or whatever, even though I do not get paid for it. So I had to be, like... you know, talking about this pride group and then just be like, well, I am queer, you know, not to come out, but it's just, that's why it's important to me.
Yeah, it comes out in a contextual manner. It's
Yeah.
not like you're just like, I'm really excited to work here, I'm gay.
That's what I was hoping it was, to be
Or
honest
like
with you.
one place I applied to was like an HIV clinic for a HIV outreach coordinator. You know, that's basically means like going to gay clubs and like handing out free condoms or whatever. So I have to be like, well, I'm femme, so like I'm comfortable in those environments or whatever. So anyway, can't stop coming out of the closet. But you know what? I think coming out of the closet rocks. I think everyone should do it if you can. And I think coming out of the closet empowering, not only to myself, but also to baby queers. And I can't tell you how many baby queers have come out to me because I talk about being queer all the time, which is such an honor.
Yeah.
So therefore, I continue to just be a big queer beam of light.
Hell yeah.
Definitely. Yes.
So what's to be said? Should we talk about specifically how we're queer? Do you think that's important? What do you think?
I mean, sure.
Okay, so here's what I'll say. I don't love labels in general. I don't like being boxed. But I'd say I typically identify as, I go back and forth between queer or bisexual, and I'm always non-binary. So that's kind of where I stand. So Ariel, how about you?
Okay, I also go by, sometimes I'm like, just general queer, that seems easier. I'm always ace, baby.
Hell yeah.
But I guess technically, like, if you want to be technical, I guess I'd say pan-romantic, but that just feels like I like people way more often than I do. But if you want to be technical, that's it. That's the way.
And maybe like Gray Arrow too.
Shit, yeah, there's so many options. That's why the queer thing's just easier.
Queer's just easiest. That's what I say too.
Yeah.
Yeah, queer, in my opinion, beautiful term. I mean, such a great catch-all. I know not everybody feels great about that term, but for me, I think it's beautiful and I love it. And I do use it as shorthand. Much easier than going into details.
I know. I'm like, how much time do you have? If anyone ever asks a question, do you really care? Are we gonna do it?
Kali, how about you?
Oh God. I mean, look.
Yeah.
I love Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all that matters to me. I don't know. I haven't done a whole lot of
introspection on the topic.
No, because it's pretty easy to just say like, yeah, I'm straight.
Yeah.
I've always
it's
dated.
easy as like a straight man.
Yeah.
To like never have to break that down for yourself. To just let it coast. Yeah.
And like, yes, I don't want to like over or downplay myself. I've done work and I have like done introspection and thought about, you know, what am I really attracted to? But at the end of the day, a lot of times it's just like, yeah, maybe I am just kind of a cishet white guy, huh? That's just really what I'm working with. All right.
I like that you consult it multiple times, though. You're like, check it out. Check out the database. No.
Is anything different?
Run the numbers again? No.
Yeah.
You get little crushes on guys, though.
Yeah, I do, but it's not really, it's different.
Okay. I also think you famously have gotten straighter during quarantine, so we'll see what
Interesting.
happens once we open back up. You get a little more queerness entering back in your
I tell you what,
close community.
Pre-quarantine, I had a very large queer presence in my life.
Yeah,
I still do.
But just we've been isolated and stuff, so you're not getting the energy all the time anymore.
No.
But famously, we're going to be roomies here soon.
Oh.
I'll be damned if you queer me, huh?
Try and stop me. Wait, I'm going to be the mask. Somebody
You're
stop
the
me?
gay mask.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's actually how I identify.
That's it.
All right, hell yeah. So we've talked about being queer, and we're about to talk about it even more because we have picked this movie, the 2014 film Pride. And Ariel picked this movie. So do you want to tell us why you picked this movie a little bit without, like, spilling too many beans?
Hell yeah. So when you asked me to be on, I thought of like a million movies because I still have a lot to learn about queer cinema, but like I love it, so I try on, especially when something new comes out, like I want to check it out. I want to see what's up. And this was on your list of kind of things on your radar. And so I remember I've seen this one 3 times now, and I saw it when it came out in England.
Oh,
wow.
Yes. And so I was like, ooh, I like that angle. Like I have history with this film. And when that was when I was like, oh, I'm not straight. Like, I was figuring shit out in my life. And it's not like the movie helped or anything like that. Like, I'm not going to be cheesy about it. I'm not like, this film made me realize, because it did not. It just...
But it, like, coincided.
Yes, it just happened to be at the same time. And... Colin, you do union stuff. This film has the union angle. I'm obsessed. Like, I used to be a shop steward for my old job.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I'm reading a book about, like, union organizing right now. I'm into it. So I was like, there's too many good things to talk about. It's gotta be Pride.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hard agree.
I guess I'll run through, there's a couple people in the cast that I recognized. George McKay, who plays the young closeted guy, is in 1917, famously. Andrew Scott, who I was very excited to see in this, famously the hot priest from Fleabag.
Yes.
He's also in 1917. Dominic West.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, he's been in everything. The Wire, he's in The Crown recently. 300, he's in Spice World.
Man, I fucking love Dominic
range
West.
On this man.
He was in the newest Tomb Raider movie.
I mean, what hasn't he been in?
Oh my god.
He's truly like
Give him an Oscar.
Yeah. And then lastly that I'm going to mention, Imelda Staunton, who is Professor Umbridge from Harry Potter. Sorry to bring up at in this month of our Lord, Pride Month.
Oh, wait, did you mention our boy Bill Nye? Did you mention him?
Bill Nye, the science guy?
No, Bill
Nye.
Bill Nye.
the British version.
That's he was in Shaun of the Dead. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, okay. No, I did not.
Okay. Well, shout out to Bill
Sean,
Nye.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Sean's stepdad.
Yes.
I don't really remember that movie, if I'm being honest. I have seen it
really?
several times. It's just been a long time since I've watched it.
It's worth revisiting.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, so yeah, that's all the cast that I'm going to say. So, Kali, what's our critic scores?
Rotten Tomatoes, we got a 92%.
Hell yeah.
Metacritic, 79.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We famously
All right.
hate Metacritic.
We do.
They're our enemy.
Metacritic.
Homophobic.
Freaking eat my poo-poo. And Google users, we got 90%.
Hell yeah.
Little wild
Okay.
babies.
That's good.
Pretty great overall. So, all right, so let's watch the trailer and then we can get into it.
With the strike now entering its 4th month and in the face of unprecedented violence, the government today insisted that it will close 20 pits with the loss of over 20,000 jobs.
Without that pit, these villages are finished.
Mining communities are being bullied just like we are. What they need is cash.
Yeah, because the miners have always come to our aid, haven't
It
they?
doesn't matter. It's the right thing to do.
So we are going to pick a mining town completely at random.
Wales.
Die! Your gays have arrived!
Don't mind everybody. Name the group you represent in this case.
Lesbians and gays support the miners.
I'm hoping you can clear something up for me about lesbians. It did surprise me.
Let them get
what is
settled
it?
in first, shall we?
A gaggle of gays and lesbians has come out in favour of the miners' strike.
We're being backed up by perverts.
We've been through some of the same things you've been through. Look, we raised this money because we want to help you, and that's it.
Everything will be all right once they start to mix.
What the hell do you think you're doing? Get out there and find a gay or a lesbian right now.
I don't want to give them the wrong impression.
Right, because you're so bloody irresistible.
Every day they're out collecting for us.
What they're really doing is pushing their own agenda.
You better shut her mouth or I'm gonna do it.
That's enough. It's you lot, is it? The gays?
Yes, lesbians and gays support the miners.
What's going on?
Thank you. Yeah. When you're in a battle against an enemy so much bigger, so much stronger than you, but to find out you had a friend you never knew existed, well, that's the best feeling in the world.
What I was told about lesbians can't be true, can it? You're all vegetarians.
What a trailer.
We've been backed up by perverts. That was the king line from the trailer.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good
Yeah.
one, yeah.
So this movie is all about unions and shit. And here
Yeah, baby.
today, you kind of mentioned it earlier, Ariel, but we have 2 union pros. Maybe I thought it might be cool if each of you could talk a little bit about your experience or interest with unions so that the normals have that context going into this.
I've never remembered not liking unions. I've never been a union hater, so never had that background, but didn't get involved with a union until a couple years ago when some bullshit was happening at my old job, and I was like, well, who's the union rep? And I asked around and I found out that no one was the union rep. I was like, okay, well, how do I become it, apparently, is kind of what we're doing now. And
Yeah.
it was great. I mean, just learned a lot about there's a training that I took with the organizers. I mean, I feel like what I'm saying right now, for people that don't know unions, it makes it sound like the union is a shadowy umbrella corp and workers are the union, right? So that's kind of the gag, right?
Yeah.
But you have some people that are paid to kind of keep it running, I guess, or at least we did. And so I got training from them, got really up on like our memorandum of understanding with our county and found out that our memorandum of understanding literally says that we as county workers cannot strike, which I don't know how the fuck that happened.
Ooh.
But I feel like, what's the point? But anyways, that was very discouraging. But
yeah,
you know, then people would come to me when they had issues, and a lot of the gig was just constantly reminding people like, look, I will help you. Like, I will sit in meetings when you're afraid of being fired. Like, that's part of what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
But you're the union, so you have to also do shit, is the thing that was hard for people to understand. And now I don't have a union in my current job, which is weird. I miss it. I just showed up last week to my old union. They were doing an informational picket. I just showed up because, you know, I can still support, even though I'm not like a member anymore.
Yeah.
So that's me in a nutshell. That's my union life.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Kali?
Yeah, so I famously raised to hate unions.
Oh,
by
shit.
My head of HR mother, but listening to punk music, I became acquainted with unions.
You were radicalized by punk music?
I love it.
Then zero interaction with unions till I'm like, 26, 28 now, when I basically was working overnights at a shelter and just started reading some IWW stuff. And for those who don't know, the Industrial Workers of the World, one big union, kind of like it idealized me is what I'm trying to say. And I became very passionate about unions, and I still am. And I firmly have a belief that basically unionizing the workplace is the cure-all for everything. That's my fucking ideology. And up here in a couple months, I'll be attending law school with the intent to study employment and labor law, with the further intent to fuck over as many bosses as I can in the process.
Yes, get it.
Baby. Yeah.
Kali, are you in a union now?
Famously not in a union right
Who
now.
Who are you, me?
We had a failed drive a year ago, but in the loosest terms, we're organized.
Also should be mentioned, Kali has another podcast.
Oh, yeah. I have a whole podcast where I talk about labor.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, called?
Oh, How to Fire Your Boss. I'm not good at self-plugging things.
Kali's sweating since I asked him to talk about himself for a minute. Hell yeah, this is great context for everyone.
Yeah.
The reason why I am not sharing is not because I am anti-union. I am just uninformed.
That would make for a very interesting podcast.
Yeah. No, unions seem tight. I just don't really know shit about them. I was in a union for 1 month at my very first job that I did get fired from, so I never partook of the services. But I just paid them every week or whatever. That was at Kroger.
Oh, God. Not a great one.
So, yeah, I just don't. I'm just a big dummy about the whole thing, really. So, lucky for me, I'm here with two pros who are way smarter than me about this shit. All right, I guess we should get into the movie. First of all, this is English or Irish, or what is happening here?
But hold on. Huh. Stop everything. You have no idea if this takes place in the United Kingdom or Ireland.
Isn't Ireland part of the United Kingdom?
No, okay. A common mistake. Northern Ireland.
I was like, which part of Ireland are we talking here?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. So I thought this was British, but then I know some of the main actors are Irish.
Okay.
Then when I watched the trailer, I was like, maybe they are Irish, and I just didn't know. So,
interestingly, none of the actors are Welsh, which they did get shit for, apparently.
Yeah.
Boo on them for that. But, you know, it's English. It's a British film.
Okay,
yeah.
So that is what I thought initially. And I've gaslit myself into believing that I was wrong.
Okay.
Absolutely not so.
But it was so British that I did need to turn on the subtitles.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, you gotta have that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No shame.
I'm conscious of sounding like dumb Americans. We do have some UK listeners.
Oh, no,
nice.
It's the UK. We're allowed to. They're just a little bit better than the US.
I mean, they know we're stupid, right? Like, that's the perception
they know
of
we're
America.
Stupid. They have the NHS. They get to hold that over us.
Yeah.
We have, I don't know, good movies.
There's got to be good British movies.
We have better
what are some
food.
Other ones?
How about that? They got way better food.
Yeah.
All right.
We have bacon, and they don't, so fuck them.
Well, I'm famously, me and Kali are vegetarians, so.
Okay.
I mean,
well,
it's fine.
listen.
Yeah. I don't give a shit. I just don't want to have, like, a hot tomato for breakfast. Like
Yeah,
they do
that's
over
rough.
there.
And the beans. Hot tomatoes, a side of beans. It's a lot. Yeah.
Okay, now we're just fully being
Oops,
rude.
sorry.
No, the full English breakfast can freaking take a dive into the Thames.
I love
if you know what I
beans.
mean.
They do have British tea, though. Like, afternoon tea is the shit. Like, scones, all that.
Yeah, it seems pretty tight.
They win there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this is apparently just a food podcast now. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's all right for me.
That's neither here nor there. What's here is actually in the past, which is where this movie is set in 1984. So I think one of the first things, if not the first thing, is that we are at Pride, the damn parade, which is, I think, happening concurrently with a miners' strike.
Yes. Yes.
What was happening was they were at Pride, they're walking down the street with their Pride banner or whatever, and then suddenly are like, let's go help the miners. So I was like, did he just see a miner? Or like,
No,
what's happening?
Did you not remember when the lead? God,
Yeah.
I gotta have a name for this dum-dum. Mark.
The Dum Dum famously is dead now, so we should show some
Schnetzer?
respect.
Ben Schnetzer is?
Yeah, Mark.
famous Mark.
Mark Ashton.
Oh, I was referring to more of the actor's dumb. All respect to Mark Ashton.
Right.
At any
Okay.
rate. No, Mark Ashton's like standing in his apartment and he like hears on the radio about the miners and he's like,
Oh, and that's when he runs out and goes and tells his friends who are already at Pride.
Yes.
Bingo.
That's it.
Okay.
He's the ideas. He always is the guy that's like, I have another crazy idea.
I was confused on the inciting incident.
Got it. Okay.
insane that's the
That's all.
look. I do have some critiques about the meat and potatoes of this movie, you know, the filmmaking of it. What a week. That's really the inciting incident for the movie. Is
Essentially.
he like wakes up after a one night stand and he's like
I remember this now, yeah.
in his kitchen and it's just like
He doesn't even say goodbye to the man.
they have like a little minor fight or something.
The guy's like trying to say goodbye to him and like I left my number and he doesn't even look at him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I knew he was mean in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
It's cold.
The first time you hear about something, you're like, I have to go do something about this right now. Like, I don't know. And especially
Yeah.
just on the radio, and that's all the information you got, buddy? I don't know.
And when he leaves the apartment, he has a very like opening to Beauty and the Beast Belle's song type moment.
Yes, he does.
I mean, this movie is very
so
cheesy.
True.
When he's running down the street with like a pail and like people are popping out of their windows or out of their shop doors or whatever.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
has like
Oh,
one
hello.
comment to add to the song. There is no song, but
There
it just
should
felt
be.
exactly like Belle's
Yeah.
song at the beginning of Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, I could see it.
And I was like, the opening kind of corny. I mean, it was pretty corny. A lot of this movie is pretty
It's
corny.
very
but
corny. Yes.
Overall, you know, there's a message and it has some substance. I'm not mad at the corniness, but it definitely exists and needs to be acknowledged.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
I find myself every time I watch this movie, because like I have seen it now 3 times, which is quite a bit, and I find myself deeply suspicious every time I watch it, and I feel like I'm scrutinizing it because I do not normally, like, I should probably say, I do not normally like these kind of feel-good
Corny
schmaltzy
movies.
with a message
agree.
films. Like,
Yeah.
do not like them, and I'm deeply suspicious of them. So this movie like always raises my hackles, but it always kind of gets me, and I'm like, fuck you for kind of warming my heart. So
Yes.
like, yeah.
There are like every now and again one will sneak through the cracks. Like I was
Absolutely.
kind of thinking of what was that Bruce Springsteen one we did, Kali?
Oh, Blinded by the Light. Very similar vibes.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you see that movie?
No.
We did that for the pod 2 years ago, last
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
What's time?
2 years.
What is that?
2 years ago. But it was the same kind of vibe. It's kind of cheesy, kind of corny, but then there is like real shit in it too. I really felt like I actually thought the vibes were so similar that I looked up like the deep cast production of this to see if it had any of the same people, which it doesn't.
Oh shit. Okay.
But but it was a very, because I'm the same way. Like I'm not usually struck by these type of movies either.
Yeah, this, I love Union history. Yeah, like, in my spare time, I do enjoy, like, I'll find, like, a specific Union strike that occurred, and I'll go watch interview footage of some of, like, the miners or something. Or, like, what I talked on the pod a while back about a fucking wonderful
This is
movie.
miners with an E, by the way.
Miners, or, like...
Kali's not watching videos of miners.
No,
Don't take this out of context. Yeah.
Or that movie I adore, Harlan
County.
Harlan County, USA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the, like, hardened, gritty, very masculine, if leaning into how fucking straight I am.
I love hard, masculine.
I do. I love these, like, this gritty, like... I love the classical idea of a union, of just like a beer swilling, cigarette smoking,
I love
shitty...
hard, masculine.
Yeah, exactly.
Unions.
Real gay, man. And this movie completely subverted that, and I was like, what the fuck? Do I... Yeah, like, Ariel, you're right. Like, I said shut the fuck up to this movie.
Yes.
But I was like, I guess you're right. It's like when I meet someone who has the same ideology as me, but I just don't like them. And I'm just like, all right.
You want to be the cool one?
I guess we'll get along.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's like. It's like disappointing, but like there's nothing to be mad at. You're just kind of disappointed at yourself at that point, you know?
Yeah. Why am I not open to this? Why am I not charming?
Yes.
Why am I not happy?
Yes.
Okay, so the one guy gets all stoked about this miners' strike, runs out to his friends who are currently at Pride, and is like, we need to leave this gay Pride at this moment and go take some coin buckets around and get money for these miners who are striking, because he equates prejudice towards LGBTQ people with the way these striking union workers are being prejudiced against, or whatever. Mm-hmm. What's the right way to form that sentence that doesn't sound like you have a brain disorder?
He literally, because he says, like, hey, you know how the cops haven't been harassing us, like, the past couple days? It's because they're harassing the miners.
Yeah.
So, like, solidarity through a mutual enemy.
Yes.
There you go. See, Colin's brain's working. And that's the difference between us. So he feels some sort of kinship with the miners at this point. So they set out to try and raise money to help those guys. Formulating this group, LGSM, or Lesbians and Gays Support the Miners.
The L-gasm. Why didn't they call it that? What a missed opportunity.
They should have, yeah. Also, I don't know if I said out loud at this point in time that this is based on true story. This is based on the real miners' strike of 1984.
Can you imagine if this was fiction? If someone had just fully fabricated this? That would be wild. What a wild plot to fabricate.
That would be. Apparently, according to the people who were there, this movie is about 70% accurate, 30% fictionalized.
Okay,
so,
that's pretty good.
Seems about right.
That's like pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, I'd say so. Kali, did you look into what the actual thing was going on there?
Oh yeah. I went buck wild. I went buck wild with my research, because that's the thing is, like, if you turn me on, if you're like set me loose on a union thing,
yeah,
I want to know the names of the people running the corporations behind the. I want to know, like, deep detail shit, and that's what happened.
So I knew that Kali would be good at absorbing the information about the actual strike and what happened, whereas me, dumb brain, was trying to read it. I don't understand every third word. I keep having to look stuff up. I'm glazing over. So I was like, Kali, please help me. And so I, have pulled in my superhero friend with smart brain. Maybe
it's not that you're dumb. It's that union shit.
This stuff's just over my head. That's all. It's not my thing.
It's so many acronyms. It's just acronyms.
That was like where I was really having trouble.
Oh, it's hell.
Okay, so give us the general rundown of what was going on with this miners' strike.
So basically, Margaret Thatcher was elected prime minister. She was very famous for ushering in a lot of austerity measures, a lot of kind of reeling in of social rights, and basically the British equivalent of Ronald Reagan is her common counterpart, because they were in office at the same time and good friends. Basically, Thatcher wanted to usher in super right-wing conservative bullshit, and part of that was weakening the unions. So the coal in the UK had been nationalized, which means that instead of like private companies owning it, like how Shell and Exxon are all different companies that own oil stuff, most of it has been nationalized, which basically means that the state owns and runs it, and the funds can there go to support, state-run services. So Thatcher very famously just wanted to move things along to privatize the coal. She had been making little stabs and pushing things about the National Coal Board, which is what basically like the governmental entity that ran the coal. She had been pushing them, basically saying like, if you don't start closing coal mines to save costs, because coal was running a deficit at that point. And basically Thatcher was saying, like, I just want these mines closed, called for 20 mines closed and 20,000 job losses is what that equated to. And was basically just like, fuck them. Fuck the miners. Like, did not give a shit about some kind of like welfare program or unemployment thing. Cushion them was just like, these are the cuts she needed to make to reach her further goal of privatization. Her goal essentially was to just cripple the coal industry, and was ultimately successful in doing so. The coal ended up being privatized in '94. I don't know if I mentioned that. This is a very bleak story too, because while it is an incredible, like, jaw-dropping show of union power in so many ways, and it really, several times this movie made me well up. I've always just been in awe of unions have just an incredible power at bringing people together. I think this movie
at unifying.
I know it sucks, right? But this movie just it played on that a lot. It showed some of that like beauty, but in the end, if you look at the bigger picture, this was a major loss for labor, not only in the UK but worldwide.
Yeah. So in this time in '84, people were striking. Their ultimate goal was to get them not to close the mines, but by striking to make them realize you actually need miners.
Yeah.
Yes.
The NUM, the National Union of Mine Workers. And their kind of strategy was to cause a severe energy shortage.
Yeah.
There had been a similar tactic used in a strike that was about a decade prior, in 1972. So they were just going to kind of run the same play, but Margaret Thatcher was very cognizant of this and sent in a lot of scab workers.
Do you want to say, just in case anybody doesn't know what a scab is?
So when you go on strike, you're basically saying, I ain't doing another lick of work until you pay me. I don't know why I became a 1920s union guy. I ain't doing another lick of work till you pay me. But like, yeah, you walk out. A scab is when your boss or whoever says, fine, well, I'll pay someone else to do this job then. Basically filling your role and effectively attempting to just ignore the strike. You should feel completely ashamed to break picket lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been going on so long. Let's get to the movie.
No, it's cool.
Good intel.
And this particular strike was also characterized by a lot of interactions between police and people who were picketing too. There was a lot of like violent confrontations between police and picketers too. So it was like kind of a raucous event.
Yeah, there were like basically battles.
Yeah.
There was a famous battle in which like it was 5,000 strikers versus 5,000 cops. I mean, there were 6 deaths overall from this entire strike, which lasted March 6th, 84 to March 3rd, 85. Yeah, this shit's serious. If you haven't done a ton of research into or don't know a lot about union history, like people, it's paved with blood. People die for this shit. And I think that's really fucking noble. I think that's one of the most noble things, you know? I don't want to promote martyrdom or anything, but good God, respect, all respect for dead
Golly
workers.
loves our veterans.
I do. I love veterans of this fucking class war.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yes. Well, and it's like, it takes forever. That's the other thing that's like, people think about like strikes or protests and like you have to put in so much work, right? Like a year. It lasted so like that means like these people that were striking like didn't have income, like had to feed their family somehow and relied on people like LGSM to give them money and to give them food and to basically support them.
And that's what makes it extra hard too, is like that these people are sacrificing so much in their personal lives for the greater good.
Yeah.
It's very easy to, like, it's a greater good, but it's also a personal good. Like, it's selfish. A lot of times it's like, give me my fucking money.
Hell yeah. So that's what was going on in 1984.
Oh boy.
Okay, so this group of queer folks who are kind of, I guess, just like all pals that hang out at this like queer bookstore, which rocks.
What's this called? The Gay Word? What was it?
Oh yeah, it had a really good name. Fuck.
It did, and I didn't write it down. I wish I did.
I didn't either.
But it's something like that.
Oh, gay. It's gay's the word.
Gay's the
Gay
word.
is the word. Hell yeah. So they formed this group to help raise money for the miners. We kind of meet several characters that are involved with this like queer friends group or whatever. I think it's cool that like even though there's like such a I mean, what is it, like 15 people or something?
It is an ensemble cast.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna get to the whole movie, there's kind of like two groups of people mainly. So like there's the group of queer people, and then there's the group later who are the people in Wales. And I think we're given just enough like character traits or just enough development for each character or backstory that like you care about them, but not enough that it's like burdensome to the film, which I thought was like a pretty cool balance.
My issue with that was I felt there was a little too many cooks kind of thing, where I know I did care for all of these characters, and I was very emotional.
You just want the meat of the Union story, and you did not want to know about their personal lives.
Look, yes, and I found it just two characters too many, maybe. Like, just a touch too many, where I was just kind of like, I felt like there was a reconciliation in the end of the movie that I felt was just like nothing, because there's so many things that have to be attended to. There are so many loose ends to tie up. So I think in some portions of the movie, it got a little rushed with some of those. It did do like a good job at making like every character, you're like, here's a trait, like you said, Kayla, like giving you those little things to hold on to. But I think sometimes it was just a little rushed.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot. I think it worked for me mostly. I think if anything, I kind of wish they would have lessened the plot for he kind of was the main character, Joe. The who ends up being the photographer later on, and he's the one who's not out, and he's kind of like that character, right, that you're supposed to identify with, like he's supposed to be the outsider. And I guess I hate that, like, in a film that's centered around queerness, like, we still have to have that be the focus. Do you know what I mean? Like, do we need an outsider for the outsiders? Well, also another coming out narrative, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not saying that's bad, but, like, that's a lot of what we get. That's a lot of the queer narrative, and, so it's just to center it around him so much felt like maybe they could have lessened that a little bit and just kind of let the film breathe a little bit more, but otherwise it worked for me.
Oh boy, yeah, I'm sorry, maybe a controversial opinion. You could just cut that character for me and I'm fine. Like,
I kind of thought that too, honestly, a little bit, yes.
It's not that I hated, I didn't even consider it until talking about it just now, but like, yes, I was moved by the emotional beats and everything, but like, the story is mostly unchanged.
Well, shouldn't Mark be the main character? He's kind of the badass organizer here, He's like the leader.
Historical thing, yeah.
They did show a lot of the character you're talking about. They probably showed more of his life than anybody else. I do think it is cool sort of having him there. I guess I don't know that we necessarily needed like all of that. But I think it is cool having this like younger character who's kind of like new to the queer world or whatever to just show how a group of queer people become your family, and like they all kind of are parental towards him or like really protective of him and help him even cover up to his parents, like by buying the pastries when he says that he's out baking pastries, but he's really out doing gay shit. That the queer community really does just like absorb him into their care. I thought that was like kind of a cool thing to include, even though like they don't know him, he doesn't know anything about being queer, it's just kind of like everyone's welcome here type of vibe.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I can see that.
It definitely creates a better avenue to express just queerness. And kind of the like openness that comes with it.
So I thought that was cool about his character. do I need a lot of coming out stories? Like, no.
Right.
But just the familial aspects of it, I thought that was, if he wasn't there, I don't think it would be as clear, like, how much of, like, a family everyone is.
Sure.
Okay.
A chosen family.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're raising all this money for these picketers, but nobody wants their gay-ass money. So... What are they? They're like trying to call different groups, and then everybody is just kind of like either no or like, ha ha ha, we'll call you back, and then never calling them back.
Yeah.
And then eventually they just kind of like pick a town that they think might be a mining town and call them. And those people end up being the ones who take their money. But in real life, they deliberately chose the South Wales area because all of the other donations were going to other areas kind of neglecting South Wales. So they specifically picked that area because it was being neglected.
That makes more sense than randomly picking
They like
it on
literally
a
like looked at a map and then got out the yellow pages and called that city.
Yeah.
It's just like kind of silly. So the first guy that they meet from this group from South Wales is super nice, but like all the other people they've talked to have been like homophobic.
Yeah.
Even though he tells them that they're the first gays he's ever met, he's still like really chill about it. So that was kind of cool, I guess.
I like him.
He goes back to the group in South Wales and is like, we need to basically invite this group of gays down here because they've given us all this money. It's like part of their thing that they do. If somebody gives them money, they give them a little like welcome dinner or whatever, a thank you event. And the people are unsure about inviting a group of gays to their city, mainly because what they say, they're afraid that mining guys will be homophobic. Like, we're not homophobic, but other people could be. Potentially. But they do end up inviting the group down, and we get some actually really pretty shots of just like wide shots of the landscape during their bus trip down too. There's such beautiful countryside up there.
Yeah.
And when they get there, they like instantly are asked to give a speech on stage in front of the whole room.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Daddy.
And interrupting the band, which, like, if you've ever had to, like, interrupt a band to give a speech, you are not well received, no matter what you're going to say, so, rough.
Yeah. I also thought it was funny that, like, they talk about how they're afraid of the homophobia because this is, like, a small town, like, country town type place, and the band that's playing is also, like, country music. Like, it felt kind of almost American to me.
Yeah, yes.
Because that would have been the same, like, and in, like, a, what are those places called? The Legion... King's Legion.
Union Halls.
Yeah, well, whatever.
For it. Yeah.
It just, I don't know. It felt kind of American to me. But yeah,
definitely.
Not only interrupts the band, but then the speech that he gives, I mean, you can't blame him because obviously the situation he's in is so awkward. But he just kind of yells like, if 1 in 5 people is gay, then 1 in 5 minors is gay too.
Get their asses.
Which, like, to this crowd probably couldn't be more insulting.
You know? One of the worst things you can say.
Yeah, pretty bad.
That's like their worst fear is being gay.
Yeah, and if any of them are gay, they're now utterly terrified of being outed in this moment, so not a great start. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, everybody basically gets up and leaves. And they do say in this part, too, like, what's the point of supporting gay rights and nobody else's rights? Okay, so they're being, what's the word? Intersectional?
Yeah.
I guess. Are workers' rights on the pantheon of rights? Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. Gay rights are workers' rights, and workers' rights are gay rights.
Hell yeah. And the next day, the money that they've helped raise helps bail out 2 guys from jail, one of whom is mad, and the other is nice. Nice and not mad.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole South Wales group, there's really just like one lady who's like super homophobic and like not chill with everything that's going on, right?
Yeah. One shitty lady. Yeah.
One shitty lady with bad hair.
Yeah, really.
With bad hair and 2 mean sons.
Yeah, she played it
and a
really
dead
well.
husband.
She looks like she has a stick up her ass. Like, really, she's making that face the whole time. It's great.
Yeah, I hated her.
Yeah, no, we all hated her, and therefore she did a great job because
yes. Killed it.
Her character was supposed to be dislikable? Unlikable? Okay, one of those.
You decide.
So, but yeah, so she's the only one being rude. Everyone else is being super nice. And the people, the actual people that this story is based on did say that like one thing they really got right about this movie was how like warm and welcoming everyone ended up being towards them.
Okay, that's good to know because I really wondered about that. Like, I was like,
Hell yeah.
were they down? But then also I feel like this movie did a good job of showing some opposition, but just shutting it down whenever it happened. So I wondered if that was realistic. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the relationships really do start blossoming. Like, this is another, like, kind of corny thing about the movie, but it's whatever. That the queers just, like, slowly start winning over the hearts of all these straight people by just being so themselves and, like, being flamboyant and, like, doing, you know, whatever they do. The one guy who does a big dance move in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And all the straight guys want to learn how to dance.
Yes.
What? Yeah, that part I was like, no, that's cute, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay, that didn't happen. They have some good gags in here when they're showing just like everyone getting to know each other. One of the lines in the trailer that I really liked, but that old woman, like a couple times mentioned, like, I learned something really shocking about lesbians. It's so shocking. I couldn't believe it. And then finally just says, they're all vegetarians? Like, they can't all be vegetarians. I thought that was just kind of funny.
Yeah. I was thinking, hey, they're all prepared to kick me off the podcast. They're all vegetarians. You know what I mean?
Oh my
Golly.
God. Oh. Listen, I thought your comedian days were over. Come on.
Yeah,
still
there's
here?
a reason for that.
Am I still here?
Is this thing on? After she says that too, the two lesbians that she's sitting with are like, actually, we're vegan. And then there's like the longest, like, slow zoom in on this old woman's face, just like staring like a little bit confused
She's like,
into the distance.
I don't know what that means. Like, I have no concept of what you're saying to me.
I thought that was so funny.
Yes.
This is like the early 80s, so she probably didn't know what that means because I went vegetarian in 2003, 2002, and people then didn't know what it meant. Some still don't.
Yeah.
I just saw something on Twitter the other day that was like vegan steak recipes, and the picture was just an onion, just like a big onion that had been grilled, and somebody was eating bites of it.
Cool.
Oh man, that's dark.
That is not a vegan steak.
Oh Lord.
I believe that she probably didn't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're getting to the point of the strike that people are kind of to the end of their ropes as far as they're running out of money. They're kind of just going to have to return to work just to, like, live. So to try and prevent that, the group, the Lesbians and Gays Supporting Minors, pledges to do something so big they raise a ton of money. And so they go to make a pervert benefit show.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
what's
much.
it called again? It's Pits and
Pits
Perverts.
and Perverts.
Yeah.
So because the media says some shit about that, and they're like, well, fuck
Yeah.
you, we're gonna just claim this shit.
Yeah, because the homophobic ladies, two homophobic sons, show up to the union hall to look for a fight, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone else has just had this beautiful moment. They've all bonded, etc. These two guys are just like two clowns, and they get whooped, and then they're all mad about it, and then their mom is mad about it, and she calls the newspaper to give them this story about quote-unquote perverts supporting the minors. The next day when that prints, people like are unsure about even taking their support anymore because of toxic masculinity. The men's prides are all hurt.
Yeah, baby.
They've had to be supported by their wives for this long, which is already just humiliating.
It's too much.
Having to have a woman support you. And then now the gays are supporting them, and now everyone knows. So what the queers say is that when somebody calls you a name, you famously, we take it and we own it. That's the queer thing. Queer itself.
Yeah.
So that's when they decide to name this benefit show the Pits and Perverts Benefit Show. So that kind of rocked. Mm-hmm. And the show rocks. I mean, they raise like so much money.
They ever say who they got for the show?
They named a band and I didn't recognize it, so
Yeah.
didn't stick with me.
All right.
Some 80s British band.
They kept saying, like, we gotta get a great big act out there for the fundraiser for the pits. And then I never caught who it was.
Yeah, I didn't recognize who the name was. They did have like a little montage of them like calling up record labels to just see if they could get somebody to play their gig.
A lot of montages in this movie.
Yeah, a lot of montages. That's true. I love a montage.
A couple 2-3 montages.
I mean, it's how you get stuff done quick, so.
Also around this time, right after the gig, there's like a lot of conflict in different areas happens. The one kid who wasn't out of the closet, parents find his gay pictures that he hid in like a children's book. And all the pictures that he had actually in the movie, there's like a scene of him developing the pictures and stuff. Those are actual pictures that actor took during the movie too, which I just thought is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his family found his gay pics and they have grounded him from being gay. He is 20. I don't know. That was kind of silly.
It's
but
different in England.
Yeah. Could be true. We also get this starts converging with AIDS, with HIV and AIDS timelines. Andrew Scott in the movie's boyfriend is one of the first people who was diagnosed with HIV in the 80s. He says he was number 2, or at least in the UK. And that's true of the real person that's based on. The real person that's based on still alive today at age, I think he's 72.
Fuck yeah,
now,
dude.
So that's wild.
Yeah.
Wild and rocks. Somehow he survived.
Yeah.
The lead boy finds out that his ex has AIDS and is dying, which they show him like struggling with that information for a while throughout the movie. And he did end up, after this movie's conclusion, the timeline, he died 2 years later of AIDS.
Yeah, he was 26.
So, R.I.P. young man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they introduced some of that was going on at the same time, too, into this. R.I.P. comrades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Back with the union stuff, they're doing a vote, to end the strike? Or what? They're doing a vote on something that's important.
I think it's just to accept the funds, right? I don't think it's the end of the strike. It's whether or not they're going to not accept help from LGSM.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So they were going to do this big vote, and in an attempt to push out all the people who would vote for it, they last minute move the time of the meeting so that everyone else misses the vote, and had voted that they would not accept the money anymore, which happened right after they've raised thousands of dollars at that benefit show for them. So pretty shitty. And the miners end up going back to work soon after that. They kind of lost what they were fighting for, right?
Yeah. Ultimately, they lost their strike. It happens. It was a really huge blow to organized labor in the UK. I don't know the state of organized labor today in the UK, but I wouldn't be shocked if people said that it just completely set it back for decades.
Yeah.
The breaking of that strike. Yeah, it sucks. That's all I got.
That's it. Yeah, roll credits.
Yeah. It's no. There's a little bit more left of the movie. There's not much.
Yeah.
But there is some. Yeah, so the young boy finally leaves his toxic family, and we're kind of at the 1-year anniversary of when these people met now, because the initial Pride that we open on was his birthday, and now we're at his 21st birthday on another Pride. All the people are sewing banners together. People don't commit like this anymore.
We need to do more sewn banners.
Wish that they would, because they were pretty sick.
They were cool. They looked great.
Yeah. So when they get to Pride with all their little banners, the I don't know, leaders of the Pride or whatever, say that they want this to be a party and not be political.
Yeah.
Okay, hello, current day Pride parades.
Yeah.
So they had asked them to go to the back of the line, basically, with all their banners. If you want to be political, you got to be at the end. But just at that moment, busloads full of miners with an E, show up to show their support for the gays and lesbians and other people, and show up in the thousands to stand with them. So that was pretty cute. You fought for us, now we fight for you type shit.
Yeah, pretty much from here to the end of the movie, when they started playing Billy Bragg's There's Power in a Union, which is, there's a lot of great union songs.
Yeah, there's a couple,
They play Solidarity Forever in this. But
Mm-hmm.
there was Power in a Union is probably my favorite one. I cried throughout the entire end of this movie.
Yeah, I hated myself, but I also cried.
Yeah.
I cried earlier when they're in the hall back in Wales and the one woman starts singing this like beautiful Welsh song.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like,
that was a great moment too.
I'm like, damn, keep it together. Like, you need to stop this shit, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
It was just really nice, like everybody out there supporting each other and the solidarity and the acceptance of, I don't know, the queer people kind of just wanted to help so much regardless of how anybody felt about them, which is just super nice anyway. And then they changed hearts and minds. And one of the old men even comes out as gay at some point in the movie.
Yeah.
Which was cute.
And one of the women doesn't come out as queer necessarily, but she does have that conversation with one of the activists.
Oh yeah, with one of the
where she's
with
like,
one of the girls.
Yeah, she's like, I don't really like sex with guys, and then like just
Yeah.
straight up kisses. Straight up kisses her. Yeah.
Yeah. There was also like a really cute scene of all the women kind of kikiing in a bedroom. They're having like a little sort of sleepover, and they find a dildo and like some gay porn mags. I just thought that was like a really cute scene too. Yeah. The queers brought out something nice inside of them that they probably never confront.
It's just very wholesome.
Yeah. It was really cute. So yeah, that's pretty much roll creds. The song that plays in the credits, called For a Friend, was actually written for the real Mark Ashton, the real guy who led the actual lesbians and gays supporting minors.
I looked that up afterwards and I was like, I'm so fucking glad I didn't know this while the credits were actually rolling, because then I would have been crying even harder. So
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah. And ultimately, all the deep coal mines in the UK have been closed since 2015. So RIP miners of all types. Sad message at the end. It seemed like we got through that fast.
We did it.
I mean, I think because it is so many like personal
so much
details,
fluff.
personal details
that we don't necessarily need.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, not for a summary, for sure. Yeah.
All right, so we got to rate this baby out of 5. So what are we thinking?
You know, I think I've settled on it. I've been thinking about it since I watched it, and
Okay.
I just I'm going 3.5. I can change it later, maybe bump it up if I need to.
Okay.
But I loved the story of the. Kayla called me out. I love the meat of it. I got a little annoyed by the fluff, and I was kind of like, just give me the damn documentary. Like, I don't even know if I want
a lot of the
emotional
fluff
bit.
details too, probably more there for us, like for queer people to see their own stories, or for our history to also be represented in this story.
Absolutely. And I don't want to belittle it. Like, I totally, like, the reason I find this, I think everyone fucking finds this story so fascinating, is because it appeals to so many. I mean, it handles two.
You can suck in the straights with the Union story, and then give them a little bit of details about other people too. Yeah,
exactly.
It's not,
turn them gay.
It's not
halfway
exclusively
through.
for either.
That's it.
Yeah. That's ultimately our gay agenda. So.
Yeah, what is it that the lesbians on the bus sing? They say, the every woman is a lesbian at heart. You remember that part?
Yeah.
Yes, I love that.
Every woman is a lesbian at heart.
You can't possibly say that every woman is a lesbian.
Why not?
That's it. That's the true theme of the film.
The guy's like, every woman can't be a lesbian, and they're like, why not?
Yes.
I loved that part.
So good.
All right, Ariel, what do you think?
Yeah, shit. I'm gonna say a 4 because I, like, by all rights shouldn't like.
Because this movie made you come out.
Yeah, right. This movie made me understand my own self. No, yeah, I don't know. It's like, by all rights, like, I really should not like this film just because of how wholesome it is. So it really, I don't know, like, in spite of myself, I'm gonna give it a 4. I love.
Hell yeah.
It worked because of unions, because of gay, but also because. That's the thing. I wouldn't believe it with anything else. Like, it works if it was like a group of like LGSM, but it wasn't like for minors and it was like for random straights, you know?
Yeah.
I'd be like, fuck this film. You know, like, I hate this. But because it was like a group that was like actually experiencing not based on their, you know, identity necessarily, but experiencing like a form of oppression, you know, it worked.
Police violence and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the solidarity was it was like a perfect depiction of solidarity in that way. I do have to point out, like, I do have the criticism of, like, for all that it wants to be, it didn't have Welsh actors portraying, and it also is so white. It's such an incredibly white film. And if I talk about that too much, I'll give it less than 4 stars because it does make me mad to think about. Like, I hate when people purport to be about, like, solidarity and shit like that. And it's like, look at your film. Your film is so white, though.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating. But if you can kind of take it at face value, I'm going to give it a 4.
Hell yeah.
I should also mention, now that you bring up, like, some of the other faults with the diversity and stuff like that, another point of contention with this film, with the people who were related to it in real life, was people were angry that they did not mention Mark Ashton, the main leader, was a communist and was very strongly communist. In fact, he became the leader of the youth branch of the Communist Party of Great Britain when he was alive. So it really pissed off his friends that that wasn't, like, mentioned at all in the movie, besides, like, kind of really vaguely. Like, I think he had, like, a communist flag in his house on the wall or something, and, like, was wearing, like, a Red Star pin on his jacket, which you can't even really see, and, like, somebody shouts commie at him when he's on stage once, and that's, like, it.
That's it, yeah.
So yeah, that was another one way in which a massive part of someone's identity was kind of not acknowledged.
Yeah.
And that does kind of suck too. That being said, my turn to score.
Yep.
I think you can't really score this on a scale of, like, this is not like cinema, you know, like,
no.
Right.
Not like prestige in any way. So if you're scoring it for, like, what it is, which is like a corny, fluffy movie with, like, a heartfelt story or whatever, I'm gonna go also 4. Okay. I think it's really successful in what it's going for, and I think it's well made for what it is. Yeah. So in that sense, 4. And would we recommend this film?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. 100%.
Yeah. This was on Prime?
Yeah, it's on Prime. You gotta bring Kleenex, though. You gotta bring Kleenex when you watch it. Be prepared.
Something will make you cry in it.
Something's gonna get you.
I was not, like, boo-hoo-hooing, but I did do a couple tears.
Yeah.
Now it's time for Screen Vomit.
Okay, so in this part of the show, we go off about whatever else we've been watching, movies, shows, whatever. So, Kali, what you been watching?
I got a full lineup of 5 for you. All right.
Hell yeah, your letterbox has been blowing up this week. Yeah.
All right.
We got Ali, Fear Eats the Soul, a 1974 German flick. It's been on my list for a while, and it's this devastatingly wonderful, sad, and what is it? A romance between this, like, 65-year-old German woman and a 30-year-old Middle Eastern man. It's nuts. Very good. And then I rinsed off Ali, Fear Eats the Soul with 1998's Rush Hour, if you've heard of it.
Yep. Heard of it.
Interesting.
Not as racist as you think it is.
Okay.
I will say that.
Huh.
And Jackie Chan's great. And Chris Tucker's screams, where he goes like, ah! Those are great.
We just talked about boy screams. Yeah. Great for comedy.
Not a great movie, but if you're not doing anything else, it's all right. Then I went back. I went back to the movies, to the cinema.
You did, because you're vaccinated now.
I'm fully vaxxed. I'm all good.
Wow.
And I tell you what, it's good to be back seeing movies that I hate. I saw
Love it.
Spiral from the Book of Saw.
How was it? I've heard that it's not great.
Sucked.
Yeah.
It absolutely sucked.
All right.
It's got freaking Chris Rock in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I got to the first Saw trap, and Lindsay and I looked at each other, and we were like, the hell were we thinking? We don't want to see another Saw movie. So it says it in the title, like, Saw. We know what happened. And, like, sure enough, it's just like, you remember all those, like, torture porn shit? It's just that again. Except Chris Rock is a cop and there's no comedy. It's just, which is fine, but it's not good. I checked out Some Like It Hot, the Marilyn Monroe comedy from 1959.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah.
Really good. Really funny.
It's a great one.
Definitely timeless, I'd say. Very,
it's got
very good.
Some pretty queer shit in there, for sure. It's a good one
Oh,
for
absolutely.
queer cinema.
All about cross-dressing, yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally to finish it off, I was trying to find the dumbest movie, because I had a nice up-down of, like, cinema and shit, and so I found Robot Jocks, spelled J-O-X,
Oh my gosh.
from 1989.
Okay.
And it's basically... Okay, let me just read this. 50 years after a nuclear war, the two superpowers, which are basically the US and Russia, handle territorial disputes in a different way. Each fields a giant robot to fight one-on-one battles in official matches, each piloted by a man inside. That's what the movie's about. I tell you what, it's... I still don't know what to say about it. Definitely watch it. If nothing else,
yeah?
Watch Robot Jocks, but holy shit.
Robot Jocks.
Interesting.
Insane.
Robot
Anyway.
Jocks. All right.
I saw the title and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Someone encapsulated my essence and made a movie of it.
Oh my God.
You're telling me there's a misspelling in the title? I love it.
Wow. Was that all, or you got more?
That's it. That's all 5.
All right, Ariel, how about you?
Well, I've been watching a shit ton of movies because I have to record many podcast episodes this week. This is the week of podcast recording. So
fun.
But then I also did some shit that was not for the podcast. So I watched Sleepwalkers. It's a
Oh hell yeah.
Yes, 1992. Really troubling son who fucks his wife, but also they're not human, so maybe or not. Yeah, the son fucks his mom. Sorry, let me get that right. And many times in the course of the film. That's all I took away from it. No, I'm kidding. It was a really fun, like campy film. Stephen King. It has a lot of really fun cameos, like a lot of horror cameos. Like Joe Dante's in it. Stephen King makes a cameo for sure. Mark Hamill has a bit role.
John
fucking Landis. Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's kind of full of people.
It's like the definition. My review is it's the definition of not half bad. Like it's 51%. It's a 51% good movie to me. Like, I enjoyed.
It is a terrible film. Like make no mistake, it is god awful. But it is incredibly watchable, and I love terrible movies. So
absolutely,
as long as they're watchable. And then I watched like completely other side of the spectrum, Saint Maud.
Oh hell yeah!
Okay. Yeah, and that is for a podcast recording. But that movie was incredible. I don't want to say anything about it because I went in very like cold. I hadn't heard anything except the name, and I knew it was like about like religion, and it was a horror movie. So I was very, very interested, and it did not disappoint. It's amazing.
Cool.
And Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift. I also went to the theater. Yeah, they played it at one of my local theaters, and I am also fully vaxxed, so I went with a couple friends. We dressed in our best, like, early 2000s clothing, and we went to see Fast and Furious, and I love that franchise. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah. Oh, we do too. We're with you, so you're in good company.
Okay, good. And then my last, like, 2 that I watched this week, one of the best double features ever, and I never really thought about it as a double feature, but again, for the podcast, Poltergeist and Halloween.
Oh hell yeah!
Talk about like a powerhouse double feature. Yeah,
that's back to back.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a good week for movie watching.
Hell yeah!
Yeah. What about you?
My turn. Okay, I got a couple. All right, so I watched Dead Man, the Jim Jarmusch movie.
Yeah.
With Johnny Depp, who I'm still unclear if he's canceled or not right now.
I think he's all right.
Is he good again?
I think that's
don't know.
Is he? I feel like he's canceled right now.
Look, I feel like
that's what I'm saying.
Regardless
Nobody
of
knows.
anything else, regardless of the Amber Heard stuff, yeah, we don't need him anymore. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
As a society, we have moved beyond Johnny Depp. Absolutely.
Yes.
To be fair, though, this was Dead Man's like 1995 or something, so like this is pre anything that we now know. So this was my first time watching this movie. I do love Jim Jarmusch, but just by the description of it, I was concerned that it could be in bad taste because it is, I don't know if y'all have seen it or like know anything about it.
It's a Western.
Yeah, it is like a Western, and like I just kind of skimmed over the description because I generally don't like to know anything when I'm watching a movie, but it is like Johnny Depp meets a Native American who guides him, along a journey or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, this could be not great. But it actually was really good, and I looked into the movie a little bit, and they actually, Jim Jarmusch consulted with Native American tribes and used their actual language, and even
Hell yeah.
none of the Native American language that's in the film is subtitled because he wanted it just to be for them, and there's even in jokes for Native American people of that tribe or whatever. So there's stuff just for them in there, and I think that's really cool. And anyway, the movie was good. I liked it.
Awesome.
I didn't love actually Depp in it though, but I loved everybody else who was in it. So yeah, good movie, would recommend. Dead Man. I watched Living in Oblivion, which is another 90s Buscemi movie. I've been trying to watch some more old Buscemi because I was recently reminded how cool Buscemi is.
Hell
so the movie's about, he's a director trying to make a movie, and it's just kind of allegedly a realistic portrayal of what it's like to try and make a low budget movie, just one thing and after another going wrong type thing while they're desperately trying to get their shot. Living in Oblivion.
Hell yeah.
I watched La Haine today. La Haine?
I don't
Whatever.
know.
Translates to anger. Anyway, it's from 1995. It's a French film. It was really good. So historically, all of the French films I think I've ever seen have been just super devastating, which this was also, but but it also was really funny, and I don't think I've ever seen a really funny French film. So that was kind of cool, although it was ultimately also devastating. It's kind of like a slacker type thing, just these three young guys kind of romping around town. But they're mad because one of their friends recently was killed in police custody. So it's very fuck cops the whole time, which is sick. And they're young guys, so they're just angry and kicking up shit everywhere, But really good movie.
Hell yeah.
Cinematography on that also really, really good. Unfortunately, I don't know that anything else that cinematographer ever did was quite as good. And all right, this movie, this is a top tier, I think. I watched this movie called I Killed My Mother, which is also a French film of the devastating ilk. But a little more recent. It's from 2009. This movie was it's about a teenage boy who has kind of a unstable mom, and it's very, what's the word, vulnerable for me to say that this movie was so personal to me and so reflective of what my experience was, almost to a damn T, down to the details, that it was insane to see on screen.
Jesus.
It was has somebody been spying type.
Shit.
Fucked up. And makes me shy to say that out loud because if anybody else watches it, they'll be like, this is what Kayla's life was exactly like. But was really insane for me. So yeah, I killed my mother. And so that I don't end on that one, I watched a cool short called Glitter's Wild Women that is about two chicks who smoke this glitter that comes out of the ground and kill men.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that was just kind of a fun romp of a short.
Amazing.
Tried not to end on the devastating one this time.
Good call.
It was a good week for me for film, I think.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So great week for all three of us.
Hell yeah. We crushed it. Good job, team.
Fuck yeah. All right, so we've reached the point in the pod when it's time for Ariel to rock out.
Okay. All right.
Are you shy?
Yeah, I suddenly became shy. It was so funny. I wasn't prepared to be shy. It's called Under Your Skin. We use it as the theme song for Not Your Final Girl.
Hell yeah.
That's it. Just use your own fucking music, I guess, when you start a podcast.
It's the way to do it, if you can.
If you can.
I, of course, didn't.
I mean, try it. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. It was supposed to be about, it was supposed to just be a song about, this is boring, and this is not what the song ended up being about, thank God, but, kind of, discourse on the internet, but, how, women, way more than men, are just kind of told to, shut the fuck up online, and then, the dudes will talk. I hate that shit. But anyways, that happens a lot online, and I was like, well, why can't I just be a raging bitch online? Like that's my right. That's what I deserve. And then it just became about like, it actually then the song is suddenly about a female serial killer. So
hell yeah.
That rocks.
Which is much more fun than talking about online discourse, I think. So
okay, ready?
Yes.
Okay, this is so funny. Okay. All right. If it's not a good look, why do I wear it so well? Pardon me, I mistook your pretty face for someone else, but you just have to do. Because you see, it's getting late, it's a late point of view that keeps the guilt from off my plate. 'Cause wolves in sheep's clothing fight dirtier than I do, and trolls in their dungeons won't leave to come and find you. You know who I am, and you're gonna let me in. I know that I'm under your skin. Just another sleepless night. You toss and turn until you sweat. Put on her perfume out of spite. But I'm not done with you just yet. While you're counting sheep, I'm prowling just outside the pen. Mind the company you keep. Well, I may be a monster, but you want me as your friend. 'Cause wolves in sheep's clothing fight dirtier than I do, and trolls in their dungeons won't leave to come and find you. You know who I am, and you're gonna let me in. I know that I'm under your skin. I don't have to huff and puff to blow your house on down. Tell me that you've had enough, I'll burn it to the ground. Scratch the itch to let me out from underneath your skin. It's wearing thin, oh, 'cause wolves in sheep's clothing fight dirtier than I do, and trolls in their dungeons won't leave to come and find you. You know who I am, and you're gonna let me in. There's no need that I'm under. There's no need to wonder. You know that I'm under your skin. The end.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yay.
That ruled.
Yeah, that rocked. Aw.
Creepy music.
What do you say?
I said creepy music.
Hell yeah, that was beautiful too.
Aw, thank you.
Thanks for sharing a song with us.
Hell yeah.
All right. Now that song's over, it's time for plugs, though.
Yeah.
So, Ariel, what do you have to plug? Or tell people where they can find your stuff, your music, and your podcast.
Yeah, so my music's on Bandcamp, just arielDyer.bandcamp.com. And, I mean, it's on other stuff, too. Like, you could do it on Spotify and, like, all that shit. But fuck Spotify, because they give you nothing. So if you want to buy my music, you could buy it on Bandcamp.
Hell yeah.
I'm on Instagram. I don't know if you really want to follow my personal Instagram, but if you do, it's Ariel Dyer Wolf. And then the podcast is Not Your Final Girl, which is NYFG Pod on Instagram, Not Your Final Girl on Facebook, and on, NYFG Pod on Twitter. So whatever your poison is, we got you. We got you covered. We yell on all of those sites, all of those social medias, much to my chagrin, because I do the social media. You know the struggle. You know the podcast struggle.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Same boat.
Yeah, I think we've commiserated about this before, actually. Yeah. And you can listen to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, Not Your Final Girl. And we just talk about horror movies and shit. Me and Candace, we have a good time. And we have guests on, too. Kayla was on.
I famously was on.
I don't think we said that yet. Yeah.
I don't think we did, yeah.
You picked two really great, like, horror mom films, Serial Mom and The Orphanage. And we had a great time. So that's an episode you can listen to. And we talked to other cool people, and yeah, you should listen if you like horror, and maybe even if you don't, maybe we can evangelize you to our cause. So yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, so for us, you can find us on Instagram, everywhere else at Screen Vomit, one word on all the things. Give us a subscribe if you haven't already, and a rating and review, and share. Tell your friends. How about that? And you can send us an email at screenvomitpod@gmail.com, or tweet us with your thoughts on this movie or other movies. Suggest a movie. Come out to us. Whatever. Happy Pride.
Yay.
Kali.
Yay. I got a podcast about labor I mentioned earlier. Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. I got a podcast about labor. It's called How to Fire Your Boss. It is up now and all the stuff. Baby.
Hell yeah. I don't know what we'll be watching next week yet, but we will be joined by a guest. So be sure and tune in for that. And thanks, Ariel, for joining us.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Hell yeah. All right, and we'll see everybody else next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, I yawned right at the end.
Oh, God.
Bye.
Now, sisters, in many far-off lands, there is power in our union. Now I long for the morning that I realise brutality and unjust laws cannot defeat us. But who'll defend the workers who cannot organise, and the bosses send their lackeys out to cheat us? Money speaks for money, the devil for his own. Who comes to speak for the skin and the bone? What a comfort to the widow